All right, today we are diving into something really profound, the world of African proverbs. We're talking about a rich cultural tradition just packed with timeless wisdom. So let's get right into it. Okay, just think about that for a second. If you borrow a man's legs, I mean, what a striking image, right? This proverb from Senegal immediately gets you thinking, wait, what's really being said here? So, what does it mean? Well, it's a warning. It's saying that if you let yourself become too indebted to someone, you lose your independence. You're not in the driver's seat of your own life anymore. And that right there is the magic of these proverbs. These aren't just clever phrases someone made up. They're actually the threads of a vast cultural tapestry. They're part of this really sophisticated system for passing down history, values, and wisdom from one generation to the next, all by word of mouth. And that brings us to our first section, more than just words. Because to truly appreciate these proverbs, we have to see them as part of a living, breathing oral tradition. So the key here is understanding what oral tradition even is. Think of it like a living library, one where knowledge isn't stored in dusty books, but in the memories and the voices of the people. And proverbs, they're like the keys you need to hide these sayings. Because here's the thing, a simple word-for-word translation, it misses the point completely. To get to the real wisdom, we have to become decoders, looking past the surface to the cultural context that's bubbling underneath. Let's walk through an example. In the Gikuyu language of Kenya, there's a saying, Mbarati ushuru. Literally, it means war is not porridge. Okay, so what? Well, the context is absolutely everything. Porridge was this wholesome, desirable, everyday part of life. So the wisdom here is profound. War is the absolute opposite of that. It's never something you want, and it only brings devastation. See how that works? This is a fantastic way to see the two layers we're talking about. A proverb from Rwanda and Burundi says, "A bone is formed from the word of an elder." Literally, that sounds a little strange, but when you decode it, you get this powerful message about structure and strength. Young people should look to their elders for guidance to build a strong foundation for their lives. Once you get this decoding skill down, you really start to see how these proverbs act as a guide for life. They're not just philosophical, they are incredibly practical tools for everyday situations. Take this Swahili proverb you might hear across East Africa. Haba na haba hujaza kibaba. Its meaning is just this beautiful piece of encouragement. Little by little, the measure is filled. It's a reminder that you achieve big things step by step, through persistence. It's meant to keep you going when a task feels absolutely overwhelming. All right, now for something a bit more direct. This Zulu proverb is short and sharp, who they're talking to. Here's one from the Njak people of Nigeria that speaks directly to parents. This is basically a piece of moral instruction. It's cautioning parents against shielding their kids from every single struggle. I mean, if you carry them the whole way, they'll never truly appreciate the length of the journey, and they'll never learn to walk it themselves. And I just love the imagery in this proverb from Mali. A log may stay in the water for a long time, but it won't turn into a crocodile. The wisdom here is so simple but so powerful. Be true to yourself. Your environment doesn't change your fundamental nature. It's really just a call for authenticity. So what does all of this mean for us today? That brings us to our final section, wisdom across time. The most important point is that these sayings are not just dusty relics. They speak to universal truths about what it means to be human, about community, about struggle and perseverance. Their wisdom is just as relevant now as it was centuries ago. Which leads to a final question for all of us to think about. In our fast-paced modern world, how can we use this ancient, distilled wisdom to guide our own lives, our decisions, and our communities? We'll leave you with this final thought from the Akan people of Ghana. Wisdom is like a baobab tree. One individual cannot embrace it. No single person can claim to have all the wisdom. It's vast, it's ancient, and it's communal, something we can only embrace together. To the deep dive. We have something a little unusual on the table today. Usually we are unpacking some dense technical white paper on AI or maybe a 1,000-page biography of a historical figure, just trying to get to the bottom of what happened.
Right.
But today, we're looking at a single book that is arguably denser than any of those, even though it has way fewer words.
It is a fascinating pivot for us. We are looking at Wisdom from Africa, a collection of proverbs compiled by Dianne Stewart.
And you're right about the density.
This isn't just, a collection of motivational quotes you slap on Instagram or a coffee mug.
Right. It's not live, laugh, love.
Far from it. I mean, we are dealing with an oral tradition here. This is wisdom that was engineered, literally designed over centuries to travel by word of mouth.
For generation to generation.
Exactly. Without a single written character, it had to be durable and it had to be memorable.
And that is the mission for this deep dive.
Oh, God.
We aren't just going to read these proverbs and say, oh, that's poetic. We are going to try to decode them.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, when you first look at the source material, you see a lot of nature. You see snails, crocodiles, porridge, baobab trees. It looks like a nature documentary script.
But the source makes it so clear.
These are essentially zipped files.
That is the perfect analogy. Dianne Stewart points this out right away in the text. These proverbs are compressed data.
Yeah.
If you try to read them literally, you get a corrupted file. You get nonsense, or you get something that sounds, childish.
Sure.
But if you have the cultural key, the context, you unzip them, and suddenly you find this incredibly complex social psychology, political philosophy, or advice on resilience hiding inside a sentence about a snail.
So let's start unzipping these files. I want to jump right into this decoding aspect because the text offers a few examples that really prove why literal translation is it's a trap.
It really is.
The first one that jumped out at me, and I think it sets the tone for the whole book, is from the Gikuyu people of Kenya. It is just 4 words. War is not porridge.
War is not porridge. Short, punchy, and completely baffling if you don't know the context.
Exactly. I have to be honest, my first reaction was, okay, thanks for the update. It sounds almost comically obvious, like saying fire is not water or a rock is not a cloud. Why do we need a proverb to tell us that war isn't breakfast?
And that is exactly why we need the cultural key. To a modern Western ear, porridge is just bland food.
Yeah, it's functional.
It's functional. Maybe it's instant oatmeal you grab on the way to work. But the source explains that in traditional Gikuyu society, porridge was the absolute centerpiece of social stability.
So it's more than just carbs.
Oh, much more. It was what you offered a guest to establish safety and welcome. It was the primary sustenance for the family. It represents warmth, community, hospitality, life itself.
It's the symbol of a society that is functioning correctly.
That's it.
Changes everything. So when the proverb says war is not porridge, using a sensory metaphor.
Precisely. It is saying war is the anti-sustenance. War is the thing that makes the porridge and, by extension, the hospitality and the life impossible.
So it frames conflict not just as bad or violent,
but as the negation of the very things that keep us alive. It defines war by what it takes away.
That is infinitely heavier than just saying war is hell. It anchors the abstract concept of war into something domestic and tangible. You can't eat war. You can't share war with a guest.
It makes the loss feel personal. It hits you in the stomach, not just the head.
Let's look at another one that requires this kind of decoding, because this one initially sounded like a whimsical children's book title to me. It's from the Kuanti people of Zambia. The Journey of a Snail in Its House.
Well, think about the snail's life. It moves across different terrains. Dirt, grass, rock, maybe even across borders.
The environment changes constantly.
Constantly. It's vulnerable. But the snail never changes its relationship to its home. The shell is fused to it. The interpretation here is about portable identity.
Portable identity, I like that.
The house is your heritage, your wisdom, your foundational values. So the proverb suggests that a wise person is like the snail.
You can go anywhere.
You can move to a new country, a new industry, a new social circle, but you bring your house with you. You don't leave your background at the door just to fit in.
I think that's a tension a lot of us feel, though, especially in a globalized world.
Of course.
There's this pressure to assimilate, to shed the shell so you can move faster or fit through smaller doors. But this proverb is arguing the opposite, that the shell is essential for the journey.
It's not baggage, it's protection, it's shelter.
Right.
If the snail loses the shell, it dies. The source uses this to talk about how indigenous oral traditions travel with people. You are self-contained. You are never truly homeless if you carry your values with you.
So even if you're 1,000 miles from where you were born, you are still at home in your shell.
That's the idea.
That's a comforting thought. It makes the world feel a little less lonely. But there's a flip side to this self-contained idea, isn't there? The book pivots pretty hard from trust your own shell to Don't get too full of yourself.
It does. It moves from individual identity to the limits of individual intelligence. There is a fantastic proverb from the Akan people of Ghana about this.
Which one is that?
Wisdom is like a baobab tree. One individual cannot embrace it.
Now, for those who haven't seen a baobab tree, we were talking about monsters. These are the upside down trees. The trunks are just massive.
Immense. They look like prehistoric redwoods.
Yeah.
And the physical reality is the point. If you stand in front of a baobab tree and try to wrap your arms around it, you will fail. It's physically impossible. Your arms aren't long enough.
You might grasp a section of the bark, understand that one little patch of texture, but you can't embrace the whole tree.
So if wisdom is the tree,
I can't hold it all.
correct. It is a check on intellectual arrogance. No matter how smart you are, no matter how much snail shell wisdom you carry, you only have your arm span's worth of the truth. To actually embrace the tree, to understand the whole picture, you physically need other people linking hands with you around the tongue.
I love that visual. It frames collaboration not as a nice to have corporate buzzword, but as a necessity for understanding reality.
It is.
If I'm standing on the north side of the tree, I literally cannot see the south side. I need you standing there to tell me what it looks like.
Precisely. It validates the existence of other perspectives without saying yours is wrong, just that yours is incomplete. You need the community to close the circle.
Speaking of incomplete perspectives, there's another proverb that deals with the gap between what we know and what we think we know, specifically regarding experience. This one is from the Nijak people of Nigeria. The child who is carried on the back will not know how far the journey is.
This one resonates deeply with anyone who has ever been in a leadership role, or a parenting role, even a mentorship role.
The decoding here seems straightforward. If I'm getting a piggyback ride, I'm not the one sweating.
Right. You're just looking at the scenery.
But the source applies this specifically to the idea of overprotection.
It's about the data we get from struggle. If you carry someone, whether it's a child or a junior employee, you are saving them from fatigue. That seems kind. That seems like love.
But you're also denying them something.
You're denying them the ability to gauge distance. They might arrive at the destination thinking, oh, that was easy. We're here. They have no concept of the cost because they didn't pay it.
That's actually a really dangerous disconnect. If you have a generation of people or a layer of management who have been carried, they make decisions assuming the journey is short and easy.
Exactly. They lack the sensory data of the road. The proverb implies that you have to let people walk, not because you want them to suffer, but because the walking is the learning.
You can't theoretically understand far.
You have to feel it in your legs.
So true knowledge requires friction. You have to feel the road.
You do.
That bridges us perfectly into the next major theme I saw in this collection. We've talked about the individual snail and the child and the need for others around the baobab tree. But the strongest warnings in this book seem to be about the fragility of the group.
Oh, yes.
There's a proverb from the Tugan people of Kenya that stopped me in my tracks. It is easy to defeat people who do not kindle fire for themselves.
It's a haunting image, isn't it?
Kindle fire for themselves.
Yeah.
It implies an active process. It's not just people who don't have a fire. It's people who don't kindle it.
Right. Let's look at the cultural context provided. In Tugan society, the communal fire wasn't just for warmth or cooking.
It was more.
It was the parliament. It was the court. It was where elders met to resolve conflicts, share news, and bond the community. So kindling the fire isn't just gathering wood.
It's a metaphor for the active maintenance of social bonds.
That's it. So if you stop meeting, if you stop talking,
And the fire goes out.
the group fragments, and the proverb is very clear about the result. It is easy to
Pickings.
And that darkness is where the real threats hide. The source pairs this idea of community cohesion with a warning about the people who destroy that cohesion from the inside. There is a zone of duplicity. In a culture reliant on oral tradition where nothing is signed in triplicate, your tongue, your word, is your contract.
It's your identity.
It is. If you have two tongues, it means you use one for this person and a different one for that person. You change your reality depending on who is listening.
It's the ultimate character flaw in this value system. Because if I can't trust your tongue, I can't stand around the fire with you.
You break the circle. Exactly. It destroys the mechanism that keeps the community safe. You become a liability to the fire.
We're seeing this tension again and again in the source material. The balance between needing the group, but needing to maintain your own integrity. And that brings us to my absolute favorite image in the entire deep dive.
I think I know which one.
It's about a crocodile. Don't turn into a crocodile.
It is brilliant in its simplicity.
It made me laugh out loud, but then I thought about it. It's actually kind of savage. What is the decoding here?
It's about the difference between environment and nature. You can immerse yourself in a situation, a new company culture, a new social scene, a new country. You can float in that river for 10 years. You can soak it all up. But simply being there doesn't transmit the essence of that place to you.
You are still wood.
You are not a crocodile.
Is that a warning against trying to be something you're not?
I think it's a reality check on authenticity. We often think, fake it till you make it, or if I just hang around these successful people long enough, I'll become one of them by osmosis.
And the proverb says?
The proverb says, no. Unless you undergo a fundamental internal change, you're just wet wood. You're floating. And eventually, the real crocodiles will notice.
That connects back to the snail, doesn't it? The snail keeps its shell. The log keeps its woodness.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on your surroundings to define you.
And if you do rely on others to define you or to move you, you are in trouble. There's a Wolof proverb from Senegal that serves as a really stern warning about dependency. If you borrow a man's legs, you will go where he directs you.
That is terrifyingly practical.
It cuts through the gratitude of receiving help. Borrowing legs sounds great if you're tired. It sounds like a favor. Here, use my legs.
But there's a cost.
The proverb points out the cost: leverage, control. If someone else provides the means of your movement, whether that's financial support or political cover or even emotional validation, they are steering the bus.
You lose your autonomy. You might think you go into the market, but if the owner of the legs wants to go to the cliff, guess where you're going?
You're going to the cliff.
Yeah.
Because you don't have your own footing.
Yeah.
And the source reinforces this with a Soga proverb from Uganda. When one begs for water, it does not quench the thirst.
This one confused me at first. Water is chemically water. Why would it quench thirst just because I begged for it?
Because the thirst isn't just physical dehydration, it's the existential thirst of need. It's the anxiety of scarcity.
Okay.
If you beg for water, you drink, yes, but you are left with the lingering anxiety that you still don't know how to get water for yourself tomorrow. You haven't solved the problem.
You've just delayed the crisis.
You've just delayed the crisis,
Right.
so you're still thirsty for security.
True quenching only comes from the security of knowing you can provide for yourself.
Exactly.
Man. So borrow legs and you lose control. Beg for water and you stay thirsty. It paints a picture where independence is the only real safety.
And yet, this is what makes this collection so sophisticated. It doesn't leave us on an island of rugged individualism.
No.
It swings the pendulum back to how we treat others, but, and catch this, it frames kindness in a way that is almost shockingly pragmatic. It's not just be nice, it's be smart.
Yes, the Zulu proverb. This was the one that made me stop and reread. Giving is to serve a portion for oneself.
What stands out to you about that phrasing?
Well, usually we're taught that altruism should be selfless. You give and expect nothing. But this says the opposite. It says giving is banking, serving a portion for oneself. It sounds like I'm hiding food in my pocket for later.
In a social sense, you are. The expert analysis here explains that in these communities, relationships are the primary currency. When you give to someone, you aren't losing that asset. You are investing it in the social fabric. You are creating a debt of gratitude.
So it's communal insurance.
Exactly. If you feed your neighbor today, you are statistically increasing the likelihood that they will feed you when your crop fails next year.
So quite literally, that portion you gave away is the portion you've served for yourself to eat later.
You're just storing it in someone else's stomach.
That takes the sainthood out of kindness and makes it just logic. It's a survival strategy. It's smart to be kind because you're building a safety net.
It suggests that generosity is the most rational behavior for a long life. And this aligns with the Swahili proverb: kindness does not spoil.
Right. Porridge spoils, meat spoils, wood rots. But an act of kindness is non-perishable.
It is preserved in memory. You can eat from an act of kindness 10 years later. It's the only thing that lasts in a harsh environment.
So it suggests that while material things decay, social capital is durable. So if we look back at the map we've drawn today, it's a really comprehensive guide to living. We started with the porridge of peace, the baseline of safety. We picked up our snail shell of wisdom and agreed to carry it. We hugged the baobab tree and realized we can't know everything alone.
We learned that borrowing legs costs us our freedom, but kindling the fire of community is what keeps the darkness away.
It's a complex system. It's not just be nice. It's be smart, be connected, be authentic. It's surprisingly modern for something so ancient.
And pay attention. There is a Northern Sotho proverb from South Africa that I think sums up the attitude we need to have toward all of this. Life is a message. Heed it.
Life is a message.
The implication is that the world is constantly communicating with you. Every failure, every success, every crocodile you meet, every snail you see, it's all data.
It's a sentence.
It's all a sentence in a message being written for you. But you have to heed it. You have to actively decode it.
You can't just let life wash over you like the log in the river. You have to read the script.
Precisely. You have to be an active reader of your own existence.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought to decode. It's a Swahili proverb that feels very relevant to anyone trying to build something, whether it's a career, a family, or just a better version of themselves. Little by little, the measure is filled.
Havanaha Bahujazaki Baba.
That pronunciation.
I practiced. But the wisdom is universal. We are obsessed with the full measure right now. We want the full baobab tree of wisdom instantly.
They want the destination without the walking.
Yes. But the proverb reminds us the cup fills drop by drop.
It's about the compound interest of effort.
And the compound interest of character.
So our question for you today is this. What is the measure you are filling, little by little? Is it wisdom? Is it kindness? Is it a new skill? Or are you filling it with resentment, with worry? Because whatever you are dropping in there day by day, eventually that cup is going to overflow and you're going to have to drink it.
That's a great question. Check your measure.
Thanks for decoding with us today. Keep carrying your shell and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye.